Um, Hello and welcome to this edition of My View. Um, if you'll excuse me, I will remove this thing over here so it's a bit more symmetrical. Yeah, there we go. And this is basically in honour of both E.T., a film that I have never seen. In fact, I think I'm just going to take this off completely. That will probably be a better idea. And it's also in honour of the main topic for today's My View show, which is CM Punk joins MA. Now, I've got no doubt that CM Punk can fight and he can draw a audience, but the MMA or the UFC, as it's then actually known, that's not wrestling. And I know that CM Punk said that, well, wrestling is probably more sort of dangerous. That's true, because you're sort of taking high spots and bumps every day. But the UFC is not sports entertainment. It's real combat. It's a real fight where the punches that kind of like come in aren't open-handed punches. They're like heel punches. I mean, Brock Lesnar competed there, and he's got like, I think he's got like 5 wins and about like 3 or 4 losses. And his last fight was against a guy who didn't look like he should be able to sort of like beat, Brock Lesnar, who's this, big, huge, muscular, steroid-induced guy. And, the normal looking guy absolutely tore Brock Lesnar apart. I mean, it didn't even last. It lasted barely a minute. So, I'm just kind of wondering, is the CM Punk genuinely prepared for the UFC? Because the UFC, in my opinion, is the real deal. If you're a champion in the UFC, then that is real. It's not sports entertainment. It's not, Harley Race being there and going, "Yo, I'm gonna rip your lungs out in Tennessee. I'm gonna rip your lungs out." There has barely anything I'm talking, but there is lots of, kind of like, just, genuine action. And so I know that he's training, but I'm wondering if he's genuinely prepared for the kind of fights that he's going to have. Now, he's going to bring in a lot of people. Whether he brings in as many as Brock Lesnar is like a different story, because Brock, of course, is a heavyweight. CM Punk is going to be a welterweight. So how kind of people tend to sort of gravitate towards the heavyweight contest more. But I genuinely hope that it goes really well. I genuinely do, because nobody wants to see anyone getting hurt or injured. So I genuinely hope that it goes well. I am slightly encouraged by the fact that one of his first challenges is none other than David Frank, or whatever his name is. It's the Green Ranger himself. And so, if that fight ever happens, about halfway through, when sort of CM Punk is kind of like going, that on him, he's like going to go, okay, Punk, now you've had it. Dragon Sword power. And hey, I was 16 when the Power Rangers first started. 16 to 17. I watched it as a 16 or 17-year-old. Screw it. And so that would be a interesting fight, but perhaps not. I don't think that the Green Ranger is like a proper opponent for CM Punk. Although, props to Dana White, who sort of basically said, well, CM Punk, he's not had any of these fights in the UFC. And so his first fight is going to reflect that. He's not just going to walk in and be given a title shot. And so that's good. And sort of because the UFC has to be careful, because it's real competition, and if you have a constant stream of sports and entertainers, some of the fans may start to think, well, is this like the same as wrestling? Which it's not, because I've seen the UFC. Unfortunately, I'm not too sure if you can get the UFC pay-per-views here in England. I've not seen them. Hopefully, I can. And so if I can, I'll definitely be watching CM Punk. But there's kind of like a slight credibility issue if you have too many sports entertainers, and but sort of like Dana White part of the bat said, well, he's had no fights, so he's going to face a guy who's had no fights. And so, let's see what he can do. And so, he's been very smart in sort of how he's kind of like handled it. So sort of the sports entertainer who does wrestling and then wrestles the Undertaker at WrestleMania, and cannot come into the UFC and fight as a heavyweight. And so and it's all been handled really well. And I'm actually quite excited to see how Punk does, because sort of he's got genuine mat skills, but there's a difference between someone who's trained to be a sports entertainer and someone who's trained to be a UFC fighter. Big difference. Huge difference. There is no sports entertainer on this planet who will ever be able to take a genuine UFC fighter, because the UFC is proper combat. It's not, oh well, and taking bumps. It's getting smashed in the face with, fist, elbow, knee, whole thing. Tough fighter. So it'll be interesting to see how he actually does in that match. So I'm looking forward to it. If it's on pay-per-view, I'm definitely gonna buy it. So yeah, good luck to CM Punk.